Well, it's Veterans Day, and each Veterans Day I really learn to appreciate all of the veterans that we have across our great country. And in Pennsylvania, we've got one of the highest numbers of veterans in the whole country here. But personally, my history dates back to the Revolutionary War. But what I really have grown to treasure and appreciate is this box of love letters that my grandmother saved. And these are letters from my grandfather, Buck Jackson. And here's my grandmother, Loyce, and my grandfather, Buck, John, Edwin Jackson. And this was before my mom was even born. This is my uncle and my aunt. Loyce Jackson, her real name was Jessie Loyce, and she hated it, so she always went by Loyce Jackson. And she was about a 4'9", hard-working farm lady, rancher, pistol-packing mama. And this little teeny 4'9" lady, she'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and would be out in the fields baling hay and tossing them onto the truck. Loyce had several brothers. Every one of them was in the service. Actually, every generation in my family since the founding of this country, every generation in one way or another has served in one branch of the military or another. And this is just a picture of Buck and his brothers. Every one of them was in the service in one way or another.
In 1942, at 22 years old, John Buck Jackson enlisted into the Army Air Corps Specialists out of Lubbock, Texas, where he and Loyce started their family. In the spring of 1944, he was receiving technical training to be a flight engineer at Lowry Field in Colorado. The Air Corps Technical Training Command insignia featured the Latin saying "Sustineo alas," or "I sustain the wings." After graduation, Buck's squadron was assigned to McCook, Nebraska, to begin flying and logging hours on the B-29 Superfortress.
We start flying Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. in B-29s. Three of us got 6 hours in a B-29 yesterday. It sure is a nice airplane. I believe I could ride all day without getting tired.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet hot thunder, and a boy given a gun.
This 66.5-ton behemoth could hold up to 20,000 pounds of bombs, cruising at 220 miles per hour and capable of flying 3,700 miles on a single trip. This was a state-of-the-art aircraft designed for extended round-trip missions striking targets over Japan.
I'm supposed to be a full-fledged flight engineer. We had about an hour and a half in the engine seat, engineer's seat. It's going to take some time to learn everything.
The ground crew maintains the engines, keeps them in condition to deliver their tremendous power. But once in the air, it's up to the flight engineer to get that power from them. It is he who must be able to interpret these instruments and adjust these engine controls so that the pilot gets exactly the power he wants.
The flight engineer, or FE, is required to be an expert on all mechanics of the plane. The B-29 carries 11 crewmen, and Buck would have been seated here at the flight engineer station.
Some engineers got here last week and already have 15 hours in B-29. They were glad to see us come in, as there was just 4 B-29 engineers in the squadron. We were split up into 3 squadrons.
The 20 different crews of Buck's Bombardment Squadron, the 873rd, nicknamed the Elephant Clan News, along with 2 other squadrons, form the 498th Bombardment Group. And these groups form the 73rd Bombardment Wing. These 5 wings created the 21st Bomber Command. And these commands represented the 20th Air Force. Buck and the 498th moved to the Mariana Islands in September 1944 and were stationed at Isley Field in Saipan. The life at the base could be monotonous.
About the only thing different that happened lately was an inspection this morning. We had to have our clean clothes, steel helmet, weapons, gun belt, and canteen, a regular stateside inspection. There was the usual amount of bitching, and as usual, I forgot to wear my dog tags. I was one of the few that they asked for tags, but nothing happened anyway. Almost forgot, I finally made Master Sergeant today. That will increase the pay quite a bit. I'm going to send all of you something soon.
Primarily, their first missions would be to carry out high-altitude daylight bombing raids against Japanese aircraft factories, each mission lasting an average about 14 hours.
This one's May 9th, 1945. This is quite a big day, I guess. VE Day. May sound big in the States, but it's just another day here.
That the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The victory won in the West must now be won in the East.
Just hope we celebrate our V-Day soon. They still haven't set a certain number of missions for us, but the latest rumor is 35 for us new ones.
During March of 1945, due to unbelievably high winds and persistent cloud cover over Japan, the group's tactics would shift from daytime missions to nighttime low-altitude bombing to escape the harsh conditions.
June 5th, 1945, Tuesday. Everything is going about as usual here. Have 23 trips now and going again soon. We will lead the next mission. That's supposed to be about the best formation position. But we got several holes the last time.
An added benefit to nighttime missions was that the Japanese fighters struggled with combat in the dark. This successful strategy for the bombardment group would continue through the end of the war.
June 11th, 1945, Monday. We have another mission now. Was over Tokyo again yesterday. That makes 25 for me. We've been very lucky about not having any trouble. Haven't been late returning but once. Nothing that there was any danger in. Just lost an engine, so it slowed us down a lot. Expecting to hear from you more often now. We'll write again soon. Love, Buck. July 14th, 1945, Saipan. Hello, darling. Well, I doed it. Yes, we flew our 35th mission, the 12th. We went on a weather strike over Tokyo. It was very cloudy, so we didn't see anything. Don't know how long it will be before we get transportation back.
John Buck Jackson would finish his service having flown 35 missions over Japan as a flight engineer.
August 17th, 1945, Saipan. Well, I suppose everyone really celebrated the end of the war. Hope you didn't get too tight. Save that until I get there, then we will really go on a big one. With the war over and everything, maybe I can let you know when I will get to the States. That is when I get to Oahu. I'll send a cablegram anyway to let you know when I get there, even if I can't tell you anything. It just doesn't seem possible that the war can be over.
He would discharge from the Army Air Corps in September 1945.
It's just such a wonderful feeling to be able to look through this little time capsule of what was happening in their lives, in my uncle and aunt's life, my mom's life. There's a message from my grandmother about when my mom was born, and it's just wonderful to have these treasures and still look back on them today and know what just a tiny fraction of what it was like for a lot of our veterans when they were away from home and what they went through. And it means so much for me to be able to thank all of our veterans who put themselves in harm's way, and all of our families who sacrificed time away from them, and how fearful they were every minute of every day for what might happen to them when they are deployed. So on this Veterans Day, it just means so much to me to just give a heartfelt, white-knuckled thank you to every veteran across Pennsylvania and all of our families who've sacrificed as well.